Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to part two of Power BI apps. Let's dive in. This time we have a special guest, Kenny. Um, we can go ahead and introduce ourselves. Let's start with Kenny this time because he's going to give us a unique perspective on these apps as he had the biggest hand in the cookie jar here.
Thank you. Thanks, Savannah. Kennie Pontoppidan. I'm a program/product manager in the Business Central product team engineering. I own many different things, among that our analytics strategy and kind of product stack, and also what we call capabilities. So that means the actual capabilities is kind of the things that are possible, and content, which is also something I help coordinate, is the actual reports, whether it's Power BI, Excel, RDL, Word, anything related to analytics and reporting. That's also me.
All right, and you met us three last time, but let's go ahead and go around again, starting with Marcel.
Hey, hello. I'm Marcel Chabot. I'm the development practice manager at the TM Group. I'm also the author of the Aardvark Labs blog, where I do a lot of stuff on Business Central development and the technical aspect under the hood, and writing code and having fun stuff like that. I'm also a maker. I like to make and design and build crazy things that you see behind me. David.
Savannah, once again, great to be back. David Laster. I am the Director of Software Solutions at Greylock. We're a Dynamics partner that based in the Northeast area, up here near Marcel, actually, that services all the Dynamics lineup. I happen to have the pleasure of heading up our Great Plains, our Power BI, and our Business Central teams. And I dig in. I love the reporting and the analytics. Background comes from accounting. A little over 26 years in ERP, mostly. Actually, all ERP is with Microsoft, either Great Plains or Business Central or Solomon as well. But I just dig in and love the reporting part. So I take a lot of what Kenny has done over the years, especially with reporting and the ERP systems. I try to amplify that. I really enjoy the work that he's done. So thanks, Kenny, for joining. I appreciate all that you and your teams have been doing.
Yeah, and that's great. I'm Savannah Dill. I am a BI analyst at TM Group, and I run Not a Pickle blog on the side. So all about BC and BI content. Just very passionate about it and love having talks like this. So last time it was just the trio, if you will, Marcel, David, and I talking about the new Business Central Power BI apps that were released in February. That sounds right.
No.
And
November.
No?
November
Okay.
2024.
It was the fall. Yeah,
Okay.
First round was the fall.
Okay. So these apps were released. We've had some time now to kind of play with them, beat them up, and last time we spoke, Marcel, David, and I, we had some thoughts. And Kenny was like, I would love to talk to you guys about those thoughts. So here we are. Let's go ahead and start with the beginning of these apps. Kenny, if you want to dive into a little bit about, from your perspective, the history associated with these.
Sure. I think probably 3 or 4 years ago, I saw blog post by a Business Central partner that basically wrote something like, the competitors are swiping the floor with Business Central when it comes to reports, something like that. And I was like, So that was the final straw for me, that where I then led an initiative internally where we looked at the current situation back then with competitor analysis, got funding to do like more work on a product strategy for improving analytics all up. And as part of that, we wanted Power BI to be a key part of that strategy, content-wise, not necessarily capabilities-wise. And I think the strategy back then was that there was kind of something that said by 2028 we will blah blah blah, and we're now in 2025, 6, 25. Yeah, okay. Back then, that's only like 3 or 4 years ago. We had basically the only thing we had for Business Central Analytics was standard reports. Period. Standard reports with RDL as the only layout engine for analytics. That was it. Imagine that now, where we have data analysis, we have built-in Power BI, we have Excel layouts as a capability. We have, I think, probably up to maybe with this upcoming release, probably near to 40 standard reports that have been modernized. RDL layouts are being deprecated, Word and Excel is taking over. So that's only happened in 3 years. And Power BI was part of that. We are an engineering team with very skilled engineers in AL and writing compilers and dealing with writing our server and running it and all of that. We are not an engineering team that has a lot of Savannahs. Actually, we have like me and maybe one more that have some skills in Power BI. So the skilling part of actually, even though we wanted to bring Power BI reports to Business Central, it was always a tough game to try to get like engineering resources or funding to actually do it, simply because the upskilling of our current team was just difficult, right? It's a difficult sell if you propose to your leadership team, look, we want to spend 10,000 engineering hours or days or whatever, and by the way, we also need 3 or 4 people that cannot do the other things, and they need to spend like 6 to 12 months to be at least getting it up to skill to be productive, and just all of that, like BI, like star schemas, all the things that we know from BI and we're comfortable with because some of us have lived in that world for many, many years. That was simply not skills we had in the engineering team. So what do you do, right? And it happened that during Directions Asia 3 years ago, I got the idea that maybe we should acquire this IP instead of not acquire a company, but acquire reporting, Power BI reporting IP from some ISV, and then make it into Business Central. So I proposed that over dinner with Mike, our GM or like VP, Mike Morton, and he said that's actually a good fit for something where we can spend money to solve a problem and not spend engineering resources to solve a problem. And then we got involved in a project where we could fund this and across all dynamics. And then from there, it's just that was a process that took like 12 months from we start like selecting, like look at different vendors or different solutions. Then you just like if you are an economist and you want to buy a car, you kind of make a spreadsheet and have scoring and blah blah blah. And in the end, we got some candidates and then contract negotiation, blah blah blah. And then in the end, we got this funded, and we bought these back then 7 different Power BI apps from an ISV, and then from there on, we kind of rolled the Microsoft engine like over it. So that meant it's different. Like when if Savannah pushes out and something to app source, there are different requirements for that compared to if we do it for the product for the world. And that's why it took us with that vendor team. Part of the contract was some work for hire, so we had like some consulting hours in the contract so that we could make it native or more like look and feel to Business Central. So just some examples of what we need, like design. We had our design team make templates so that it would feel right when it was embedded. We actually had requirements from our UX or design team that if at all possible, this should be embedded into Business Central so that people stay in Business Central and not go somewhere else for their analytics. Then whenever we do things, we have like security, privacy, we have accessibility standards we need to roll over. There are some like multi-language support there. Like there's a bunch of things that just make this a non-trivial. Like it's not just Power BI. Then like how do you deal with breaking changes? How do you deal with, because now suddenly you're rolling this out to 40, 50,000 customers, or at least make it available. What are the licensing terms? We decided to actually, as part of this, not make it something people pay for, but giving it away. And we also made an early decision on open sourcing it when it was ready. But then open sourcing something from Microsoft is different than open sourcing something from Savannah. I mean, Savannah will make great things, but it's just the bar is just we just need to make sure that whatever is in the semantic models or things are the best practices, so that everyone else who is not an expert like Savannah will build on that and kind of. So we didn't want like suboptimal practices in apps when we open sourced. Makes sense? Yeah. So that's kind of the story behind all of this, and also why you could say, why does it take like a year or 6 months to prepare something, or maybe even longer? That's because there's just so many dimensions to this.
Yeah, a lot of people's first intro to Power BI is going to be these Business Central reports and their underlying models. They're going to do as Microsoft did and go in and learn how to do it. And if you did something that you don't want people to do, they're going to be repeating it for years.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's great that all that attention gets paid to the model and how it works, and that it really does represent some of the best practices that we can emulate.
I hope so. I mean, we probably mess up in one or two places, but yeah, at least that's kind of the due diligence that goes into when it's Microsoft that we roll something out. That those are the things that we need to.
Yeah. It's not ever going to be challenge free. I know David has found some things that he'd love to edit. And when the open source models come out, David will have his own copy that he'll be delivering to his clients, and we will too, because the markets are a little bit different, and the open source lets us do that though, and that's something that we really appreciate, because that keeps us from being locked in. It also follows the Business Central way, is that it's a platform and we can go from there.
And I think that's some of the early discussions we had was, we'll never make it right. Even the standard reports, like we'll never make it right for everyone. Or actually, a different way to phrase this is, we will be guaranteed to make it wrong for everyone, right? And that's why the open source, or the template aspect of this was like very early into this project that we wanted it. But we also wanted to make sure that we didn't name it as just templates. We actually wanted these to be reports that the bicycle shop with 5 stores can just use and run for most scenarios, right? So out of the box analytics that cater especially the small end of the market, that just works, and they don't necessarily need to hire Savannah to do more, or maybe they taste blood after some time and they go, okay, let's do some changes to them.
And if it does 80%, then that gives people like Savannah plenty of space to do work for the people that want it, right?
Yeah, I think these apps are like really incredible. As someone who, in my previous life, have tried to make a report pack or app, whatever you want to call it. Like you said, Kenny, there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, and I think these are really great for companies that want to get their feet wet in Power BI, maybe they're not sure. At least it gives them a landing space where the app may not be 100% applicable, but there usually is a nugget or two or a page or two where they say, hey, this is really great. This page could be, but like on the inventory app, for example, maybe they don't use item category codes. Once open sourced, that can be changed pretty easily, and that data is probably already exposed in the API.
And another thing that I hope will happen is that people not only right now, I think for many, not for this crowd here, but for many customers and partners, I think they think of Power BI as the actual visuals, the reports. But as we know in this room, actually the more core thing to all of these things is the semantic models. And I hope that I can see that good semantic models work great in things that work on the model and not on the layout level. So things like Copilot in Power BI actually gives pretty good results on the apps because the models are quite good naming. And I was surprised to try out, I know Copilot in Power BI, it's changing. I think it's getting cheaper, and I think there's a new SKU for it. I was surprised to see kind of the types of insights that the Copilot could get from the semantic model. So hopefully, both the semantic models are things people will build on and add new measures, but not only just think of it, or the reports. I need to change this field in the report, but yeah, let's see. We've only had this open source for like 4 or 5 months, 3 maybe. So it's still early days.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost in the arts and charts and not realize that the model is the more important part and gives it all of its power. David, you live your life in this is great, but and that's when you get excited.
I also hope that at some point, Savannah and I discussed that at a conference some time ago, that I also hope at some point that if it's true that semantic models are okay or good or great, then maybe other clients would be interested in to apply, and not only a visual, but maybe Excel as a client on the semantic models. And suddenly the reporting is not EI, it's actually more operational reporting, because now you can have pivot tables in Excel and share that. So let's see where it takes us or takes customers.
Could you clarify for me, Kenny, how many of these reports are actually open source right now for us to make modifications to?
Good question. I think as I remember it, in 26.2 we have a total of 9 or 10 apps, and 3 of them are not open source. So right now, open sourced is finance, inventory evaluation, subscription billing, sustainability, manufacturing, and maybe
project?
Project is not. So those are open source. Project, sales, and purchasing are still pending being open source. That will happen in October this year. And then I know people have asked me why wait with these. That goes back to the quality question about the semantic, especially actually the semantic models. The vendor also made these like not 7 apps, but also learned through the years. And these apps have been battle tested with many customers over the years. So maybe some early versions they modeled in a different way, and then later on they went more and more into like core star schemas. So we just wanted to take time to have them refactor the early models so that these 3 apps are also kind of in the same quality on the semantic model than the others. And that's why we waited.
Yeah, they're generally being received pretty well so far. The number of customers that I've been deploying these with and for. The search key is great. The 26.2 helps you find those pretty quickly in App Store. So I thought that was a pretty genius
Yes.
move. Generally, customers that are more interested are starting to lean into these. So they went live on Business Central, they got used to their daily lives, and then they started to take that next level. And with the reporting triangle, that they're starting to see that now manifest itself in some of these Power BI reports. And then it's an opportunity that makes it really easy for us to actually coach and teach customers now how to do some Power BI. So it's been a really great gateway tool because you're right. Somebody said earlier that people are this is their first opportunity to really do much in Power BI. And we as consultants, we as implementation specialists, and even if you're on pre-sales, which I do a lot of as well, these show well, right? They look nice. They are broad in terms of what they provide. So I personally am very excited to watch the rest of those get trickled down as the open source. Look at the model, understand where they have maybe some opportunities for specific customer applications. And maybe even go to them with a modified version to say, here, let's look at this one instead. It's the same base app. We made some changes, but now it's tailored a little bit more to your business. So it's a great tool for not just the end user customer, but for us that are trying to provide those reporting solutions in that reporting triangle to have.
And I would love this to happen more. I try to educate ERP partners that they should think of ERP and BI as kind of two things that should go together. Like ERP is about processes that you put digital and have a system to manage. BI is about reporting on your processes and make sure that you are like profitable or high quality, whatever. It's measuring and hopefully like making sure that you use data to drive your process improvements. And it seems odd to me that these are not kind of the same, or they both need to be there to be a profitable business. So I hope that the Davids and of the world and the two of you as well will help kind of the rest of the partner community to see that it is really for ERP practice to have a BI practice on the side or connected or together is just giving customers much more value than either or. And I worked in BI consulting before, so I've seen the other part of this where if you're isolated in BI, you will know about ERP systems, but you don't necessarily have the detailed knowledge. So having these two in the same organization, I think is key to really drive success for customers.
I think one of the tough things that we have to train the customers on is what is business intelligence versus business reporting. I can print out a P&L, but that doesn't tell me why. It doesn't let me investigate. It doesn't have the intelligence. And what does that mean? And how does that manifest? And how do you drive decisions off of data is where BI comes in versus I can get an inventory report. Yeah, it's an inventory report. You have so many left-handed copper wang janglers over there. But it doesn't tell you your sales rate and your month over month and all this stuff that is intelligence, interactive data is completely different. And I don't want to say some of my older clients have a hard time understanding, but there's a lot that have their stack of reports and they feel that that's business intelligence, where that's not what David and Savannah offer the world. And that's not what these Power BI elements are for.
But I think you're touching like something important here, that ERP and ERP customers, like that's a very conservative business. Very conservative. I know that like customers, like you also know this, like the uptake of new features among customers is something. Yeah, we'll look at it in 2 years when it's mature, right? And so I'm not surprised that with such a conservative customer base of change, that even the change of BI is only slowly happening. And BI have been here as a revolution for 20, 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the same thing is what we see with AI is like if customers are even reluctant on or don't know what BI is for, then like it's then uptaking or thinking about agents and co-pilots and using AI or machine learning on things is just even further out, I think, on the horizon. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just skipping BI and going directly to AI. I just don't think so.
I don't know. Copilot is now on your analysis mode pages, so it might be here to take over. So
yeah, no, that's true. That is true.
But that kind of brings in a neat tie-in that these semantic models, these data collections, these measures, AI is almost useless without it. It can't drive those decisions. AI and BI and the models you're creating and the technology that we're distributing now in these reports is going to feed those decisions that the AI models help you make.
Yeah.
So it's really building on it. And some people are going to leapfrog the importance of BI and look at the AI, but under it is this business analysis model that helps them make these decisions.
I mean, if you ever try to have Power BI Copilot on a simple semantic model, the insights you would get is something like the average weekday is 3, or so, like because the measures is actually where you encode a lot of not business logic but business insights, right? So I think there's still co-pilots and AI can still help you write DAX and help you if you know how to express I want a measure of this type. You can get a lot of help in coding it, but understanding the Business Central's ledger structure is still not like something our AI models are capable of doing and then applying and understanding to transform that into a proper measure. Maybe that will happen next month. I don't know, but we're not there yet.
Savannah, didn't you ask an AI to help you write a DAX and it got all snippy at you? And here's the DAX that you think is so important. It went all teenager on you. It was hysterical.
Yeah, I had AI go angsty teen on me. That was hilarious. I started saying please and thank you after that, and like Sam Bush says, I gave it a name and everything. So
nice.
I'm polite now to my AI assistant. Yeah.
So,
I kind of want to like talk about, because this is something I commonly see too. Like we've talked a lot about these apps so far. Where can you go to get them? Like, I know I want to touch on the GitHub a little bit and also Yammer if if we have time. So from my perspective, the few different ways to get into these apps is one, to download from Power BI service or install them into your Power BI service via the apps tab. And then if you want the open sourced versions, you can go to file and download. Or
and that's what you should do.
Okay.
Period. Yeah.
And there's also the GitHub that you can directly download the PBIX files from.
So the GitHub, I think you're talking about the BC Tech open source sample.
Yes.
So I actually just added them there to just get something out. The official versions is what is released on AppSource. I think at some point we will likely also include the PBIX, the Power BI files on the Business Central source code repos, but they're not there yet. But they will likely be. So once they get to there, you will also be able to get the source code from there. But I think the nice thing about this getting the source from an installed Power BI app is exactly this one I installed. This is the source code for it. There's a one-to-one. If you get it from a repo, you're not completely sure if that's the version that is on AppSource right now.
And what about the update? Is there like an update schedule that's kind of driving what's on AppSource currently?
So right now, we tried. So this is why the breaking change problem occurs, right? So the app stores data from Business Central APIs. This means that if we we could so a new version of an app. We actually did this in 26.2 compared to the first versions in 25. We introduced new API endpoints or changes to APIs in 26. So the version on app source that people use for 25 is not something we can just throw a new version out, because that would break 25 customers, right? 25.x customers, because the APIs are not there unless we backport changes, and we haven't done that. So this is why for now, in the beginning here, the sales app, for instance, there's a sales app version in 25x. There's a sales app version in 26.x or 2. There will be a new version of sales app on App Source. So that's 3 on App Source for 27, simply because we are adding new APIs. And then you think that's hilarious and stupid. When will this stop? And that's a great question. Thanks for asking it. It will stop. The intention is that in 27 we are kind of releasing the final or last version of finance, likely also sales, and we might do another version, probably, hopefully in 2028, of the remainings that will then kind of be where we stop this initiative. And that means then it all stabilizes. Like then there will be no more updates, both to APIs and to these. And they kind of, we feel that we're getting into where we say this is where we hit the 80%, and we say this is it.
And then it's all David and Savannah's problem.
What joy.
What a foundation to stand on, though. I mean, we develop like one report at a time, right, Savannah? It's like one report, one data source, one star schema at a time. The scale of what we're having access to as part of Business Central, to me, is just staggering. So I'm very excited for it to all come out. I know that there were tens of thousands of hours, I'm sure, that went into this. And you're going to be monitoring this over time, uptake, usage, sandbox. I know a little bit about telemetry, but I know that you're going to be monitoring this. As somebody, and this crew here has, a passion for this type of thing. I'd be very interested over time hearing, how customers are treating this. We saw X in sandbox and Y in production. We saw this month over month uptake. I think that helps drive a little bit of enthusiasm for what it is, and take away some of the mystique and make it more mainstream for all of us, so that we can all gain from that massive investment. And thanks for not charging separately for it. I mean, that's hard for all of us that go to try to sell and compete against folks that want to get in and understand ERP. Like, it's part of every demo that we do. We show couple of the apps, it's right here, it's baked in, it's not expensive, it's free. So it's a really nice tool. So I do hope to see this. All think good things come to an end at some point, I guess, and that's great. But at some point I want to try to keep my foot in the door open for other future apps at some point in time. I'll put them on the ideas page so that we can log them and whatnot. I think our community could probably benefit over time with some additional apps, specifically something that reports on security. Right? Reporting on Business Central security can be a bit of a challenge. And if you had enough of a model built around security and objects that's more visual, I think that might be something, worthwhile exploring under, some other future tense. I'm sure that there's others that could be added, but, that's just one that comes to mind. And I'd like to think of others that might be beneficial someday.
All I heard is that this is the end of the beginning.
Oh, sorry.
Oops, sorry.
I'm just saying, David, that if we have this conversation in 6 months, we could, or 9 months, how should I say this? I should not say that. No. Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
But this sounds like, I was saying, the end of the beginning. This is the end of the first major Power BI initiative within Business Central. And watching those metrics, the uptake, the usage, if it is the Business Central rockstar, which we really hope it becomes, then it goes into another phase. I can't predict the future, but the way Business Central has been going is if people are using it and asking for it, we're seeing the Business Central development team answer that in a more responsive way than I have seen in any other product that I've ever supported from Microsoft, that the community seems to have a large voice in that. And a part of that has to do with the interaction we get with the developers through the Yammer group.
Yeah.
Would you fill us in a little bit on that?
Sure. I mean, and if you publish this on YouTube, maybe you can put some links in
Yeah.
the description. So we have a fairly active, I would say, close community for Business Central partners on Yammer or Viva, which is a new name.
Exchange, Viva Exchange.
It's Facebook for grown-ups that love Business Central, right? And it's not for customers. So that means partners can actually write, I don't know this, without their customers saying, why don't you know that, right? And that's the right way to be a learn-it-all and maybe be a little bit vulnerable about your not knowing, because, I mean, there will be a German guy called Geoff, and they have done this for 20 years, right? So if you're lucky, then they will give you an answer on that. And in return, Savannah can help a newbie in Power BI saying, this is how you deal with blah, right? So this is a way where a lot of self-help happens between developers and consultants in a, I would say, safe space. I also did a YouTube video where I tried to kind of explain how it works. So you can also link to that if people want to kind of see it or hear me talk a little bit more about it.
I've been in the group for a long time, and I've published, hey, I've crashed Business Central this way, and here's the dump, and here's the telemetry, and had the developer that was fixing the problem reach out and say, hey, I think I've got it. Can you help me recreate? And actually work together with the development team, which I don't get that anywhere else. The ability to reach behind the curtain and actually enact change and help make the product better is, I don't know if it's unique to Business Central, but it's unique to all the ERPs I've ever worked with.
I think it's unique to the Business Central culture in a sense. I started at Microsoft 9 years ago now. I've worked in BI with products like needing some kind of forum like that for SAP, Informatica, and others, where the forums were like you needed support agree. Like it was all locked down. I mean, I know Yammer is as well, but I don't need to pay for it if I'm a partner. I can still kind of, so that openness in Yammer, and also I think the openness on other social media is unique. I tried to take. I was not an MVP, but I was wannabe, or I acted like one when I was working a lot with SQL Server. And I like the openness of that community a lot. A lot happened on Twitter, on conferences, and so on. So I try to take that mindset into my role in Microsoft and kind of do the same thing internally. And others do that, and partners do that. And I think that's a win. Like that's the growth mindset in action, that we can share being vulnerable. Like, I don't know this. Is that reflecting bad on me? No, because I know already that there are many other places where I'm an expert, but here I'm a newbie, and so I can do that, and someone can help me. Savannah can say, "Oh, it's because of this." Okay, thank you, and I can help some other person. So yeah,
there is so much growth in the BC space right now that I think if we doubled the amount of partners, we'd all still be behind by at least a couple weeks. Dave, you have some free time? No.
I'm looking forward to getting through Summit coming up in October. It's going to be kind of a big wave until that's over, I think, and then we dive into a bunch of 1.1 go lives. It's there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of interest. People are finally really excited that we've got some solid sea legs, and the feature richness that we're able to offer and deliver in short order is just, it makes our job a lot of fun. That's good. It's a dynamics mindset every day. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think the excitement for these apps is going to die anytime soon. If you look at even just the summit agenda or any other conferences coming up this fall, I see a lot of it. I see a lot of webinars and a lot of chatter on LinkedIn about them. So I think, if anything, it's just going to continue to grow as they become open sourced.
Mhm.
And they'll be able to find David. They'll find you at Summit all over the place. Savannah, you'll be at Summit. Kenny,
Yeah.
will you be there?
Summit, yeah.
All right. Well, you guys all have fun. I'm not going.
I actually just wrote an article for Dynamic Communities that maybe we can post here a link on as well about the open source reports. It was just published just like 2 weeks ago. So
Excellent.
Cool.
It actually shows step by step how to do your own really quickly. So it's a free source. So maybe we can post and share people that are seeing this video now that maybe go back and watch the first one. They'll get a document type form for that. So
Yep. And make sure they find you guys in Florida and have a chat, because there's a lot going on. And by the time you guys get out there, there's going to be some other news that broke, and there'll be more questions.
Yeah.
So
do you want a cliffhanger? I don't know. Are we where we are on time? Do we have more
just
questions,
about out.
or you want to close up, or?
I mean, we have time for a cliffhanger.
I love cliffhangers.
I love a good cliffhanger.
So maybe, Savannah, you can ask me what's coming in version 27.
Hey Kenny, what's coming in version 2027? In 27, not 2027.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a great question, Savannah. So okay. So what we're doing is we are on the manufacturing side. We are polishing or taking feedback and kind of making the manufacturing app finished. For sales, we are introducing things such as forecasting. So we are also, for the sales model, adding both GL lines and project lines. So the sales is actually covering all types of things you sell. Then if you saw the change we did for sales app from 25x to 26x, there was a lot of things happening there with AI visuals and with a lot map visuals and so on. And purchasing and sales is kind of, there's a lot of symmetry between those two. So in 27, we are bringing all of those improvements that we did for sales into purchasing as well. So there's almost feature parity, or will be, between the two. And then I think one more thing, in inventory, we are doing something called ABC analysis on inventory. Do you know what that term? Yeah. Yeah. So that is coming in the inventory app. Then for standard reporting, we unfortunately need to postpone the modernization of manufacturing classic reports, where we added Excel and Word. So we could not ship that in 26.x for some reasons. All of those are coming now in 27, plus the rest of the modernization from manufacturing built-in reports. And then the same type of modernization, we're doing that for the built-in sales report. So I think it's 9 of the sales reports that get new layouts, and we deprecate a few of the old things. Then for finance, lots of things are coming in financial reporting. Unfortunately, 2 things are just I needed to push to version 28. So report packs and what we call 3D reporting, or mapping over values of a dimension, or reporting trees for GP users. Those 2 features, report pack and that, we need to push that to 28, unfortunately. But a lot of things are happening in financial reporting. You can now run a report both with local currency and additional currency in the same financial report, or a lot of things. And then finally, for finance, we are modernizing deferrals, so deferral reporting, with the modernization of the 3 deferral reports with Excel and Word layouts, and also adding pages on the lines for them, so you can use data analysis or analysis mode on those too. So kind of completing that for deferrals. Yeah, and
A lot.
all of that
That's a
will
lot.
come with release plans. Much of it is already in the release plan, but will also come with the Business Central launch event video. So that's the teaser. Like
Awesome.
the videos are coming out probably in October. We're going to start recording a few weeks, and then all of that will be part of version 27.
I'm assuming you'll be giving maybe a session on that at Summit, a little bit more information.
So I have a few sessions on that at Summit, both on Power BI end and also kind of end-to-end. I think I also have one on financial reporting in itself, but that's a few months out, so not on my radar right now. But the
Oh,
sessions
really?
are there. I think I have 5 sessions or 4 sessions at Summit, so I think it's already in the.
So
We'd
if
be
you're
glad to have you
interested, David and Kenny will be the ones holding a coffee cup, running around Summit like crazy with their million sessions.
That's right.
As always.
Lots to learn though. Lots of new stuff to stay on top of. Like we're discussing, there's so much changing. And knowing, like you just mentioned, something's changing, that actually affects, now that I know, how we do things. So this communication, this community, having discussions like this and sharing the knowledge is so helpful, Kenny. So
Yeah, thank you.
It's really good, really
Really
good stuff.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to part 2. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a part 3 in October or November.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks.